But our top story tonight, a day after the exit polls across the board, except one, gave the BJP a thumping victory in the 2019 elections, the opposition has predictably dismissed the poll findings as empty speculation and false. Prime Minister Modi, though, is already getting ready for a second innings. He has called a meeting of ministers tomorrow. The BJP also has its eyes on vulnerable opposition governments like in Madhya Pradesh. Let's take a look at our top story tonight. A day after the exit polls predicted a tsunami 2.0.
Political activity has picked up in the national capital after the India Today Access My India exit poll projected big majority for the BJP. PM Narendra Modi has called a meeting of cabinet ministers on Tuesday where the exit poll numbers are bound to figure. The party and its allies insist they have no doubts the result on May 23 will reflect the exit poll.
देश के लोगों की जो मन में इच्छा थी कि फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार एग्जिट पोल भी वैसा ही करीब-करीब बता रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि चुनाव के दिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपने दम पर 300 से ज्यादा सीट जीतेगी.
The BJP in fact has already moved in for the kill in Madhya Pradesh. Its leaders there are pushing for an assembly session claiming the Congress government there is in minority.
हम उनसे मांग करने जा रहे हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी वो विधानसभा का सत्र आहूत करें. नई सरकार केंद्र में जैसी बनती है और उसके एक सप्ताह के भीतर सत्र बुलाएं.
सरकार गिराना चाहती है बीजेपी, ये आरोप हमेशा लगता रहा है क्योंकि आपके ऊपर.
नहीं, हमने अपनी तरफ से कोई प्रयास नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन अपने बोझ से यदि कोई गिर जाए तो उसके लिए हम कर भी क्या सकते हैं.
If the ruling camp was ecstatic, the opposition appeared disappointed.
ये बीजेपी के मनोरंजन के एग्जिट पोल हैं. इनमें हकीकत, सच्चाई, जमीन की स्थिति से इनका कोई संबंध नहीं है. मैंने बाकी नेताओं से बात करी है, अन्य प्रदेशों के नेताओं से बात करी है, वो सब इस पर हंस रहे हैं.
From Congress chief Rahul Gandhi to the fiery West Bengal chief minister and Trinamool Congress chief Mamta Banerjee, the leaders tweeted that it is BJP's game plan to manipulate thousands of EVMs through this gossip.
कि ईवीएम के खेल तमाशे को मजबूत करने के लिए, जान के प्रीएम्प्ट करने के लिए कि लोग सोचे नहीं उस और उल्टा तो पहले ये कर दो. यहाँ स्टॉक मार्केट को बूस्ट करने के लिए ये किया गया है. इसमें हमें तो जरा भी सच्चाई नहीं दिखाई पड़ती और ना ही देशवासियों को कोई सच्चाई दिखाई पड़ रही.
The fight is definitely not over till the results are out. But can even the results change anything? But perhaps Mahagathbandhan may still have some hopes, but it's the BJP who seem to be riding high for now. With camera person Vinod, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for India Today.
Let's then raise some of the big questions tonight. Questions that come from those poll findings at the moment. Is Mr. Modi the big boss of Indian politics now? What would a tsunami 2.0 really mean for this country and indeed democratic values? Will the BJP take up its contentious agendas like Mandir, Article 370 if it gets a clear majority? Will winning the huge majority make BJP a bully party? Just some of the questions I'm going to raise tonight as we look ahead to the 23rd of May and the implications possibly of the kind of polls we've seen. Yogendra Yadav, President Swaraj India is joining me. Nalin Kohli, spokesperson of the BJP, is with us. Manojit Mandal, TMC supporter with us. Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress, also with us. Thank you all very much for joining us on the show tonight. Before I come to my Congress BJP guests, I want to come to you, Mr. Yadav, because you last night on my show made a rather contentious point that has already gone viral, has led to a lot of criticism. You said that if these results hold, and I put the word if, you said the Congress must die. And the Congress, you believe, is the biggest obstacle to challenging Narendra Modi. Do you want to clarify that statement? Do you believe that you were that you exaggerated perhaps the nature of the opposition's predicament by suggesting that the Congress die if there is a tsunami 2.0?
Rajdeep, I know this comment hurt many friends, very well-wishers, and they were rather angry, especially because I think it came on the exit poll day when they were feeling down anyway. I want to simply reiterate, in all fairness, just want to clarify, one, that it doesn't come with any muss against Congress leadership or anyone, any kundak of any sort. This does not come from anti-Congressism. This was some slogan Lohia had floated, and I have always said this is one of the least important of Lohia's legacy. This does not come from any sense of or rejection of Congress's history and past. My statement is very limited, and I stand by that. That in order to take on this bigger challenge of meeting the challenge to the Indian Republic, which is what we face today. What we face is nothing short of a challenge to the very idea of India. And Congress has proven simply irrelevant. Congress has not proven to be a party which can be trusted to take on this historical task. Therefore, its historic role that it could have played, it is unable to play. Therefore, today it does not have that kind of role. It is not only irrelevant and redundant. To my mind, it is the single biggest obstacle.
Let's be very clear, Yogendra Yadav. When you say, just a minute, Mr. Yadav. When you today say the Congress is the biggest obstacle to taking on Narendra Modi, if these numbers hold, why are you making that? On what basis are you saying that? What is it that the Congress has done that makes you believe it's an obstacle to taking on Mr. Modi?
It is an obstacle because if this broad picture is true, and I personally don't have much doubt that this picture is broadly true, if this picture is broadly true, we know Congress would not take on the BJP, and it would not allow anyone else to take on the BJP. So in that sense, Congress is an obstacle. I'm not saying they are aligned with BJP or any such thing, but the presence of Congress ensures that no one else can come up, no one else can actually pose an alternative. I know Mr. Jha would be unhappy with it, and he should have a fair chance as he did last time, but let me complete what I'm saying. It is the presence of Congress which acts as a deterrence. अरे आप खड़े नहीं हो, नहीं तो बीजेपी को फायदा हो जाएगा. So we have seen what Congress could do, and if at the end of this we realize that Congress is unable to take on the BJP, it is time that we now forget the Congress. We stop worrying about what Congress is up to, and in that sense, I think Congress should ideally disappear from the show. Obviously, Congress would not disappear.
These are very...
I say so. What I mean to say is, therefore, now we should create an alternative without worrying whatsoever for what the Congress does, because it has become irrelevant for creating an opposition to save the idea of India.
Okay, we'll come back to that, but you've set the stage for what is the one contentious issue that we are trying to address. If these numbers hold, Sanjay Jha, the Congress could be around 50 to 60 at best. If the India Today Axis poll is to be believed, that's 2 consecutive elections where you will not have achieved 3 figures. Therefore, is the Congress the party to really take on the Modi-Shah machine? That's, I think, what effectively Yogendra Yadav is saying, that not only are you unable to take on the machine, you are not willing to allow anyone else to take it on, and therefore you didn't even have the kind of alliances that maybe you should have.
Rajdeep, let me be very honest. I mean, Mr. Yadav's pathetic diatribe against the Congress is perhaps a manifestation of his own personal frustrations here. You know, I'm not going to buy any of that intellectual mumbo-jumbo. If India, after 1947, unlike all our neighboring countries, whether it is Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, look at all the countries around us. If India has remained a democratic, secular, and a really, in my opinion, despite a couple of hiccups, a vibrant republic, it's because the Congress party was in government for the longest time, and we respected those traditions that I think are today being challenged and obliterated. I think it's a ridiculous statement to say that in a democratic framework, the Congress is trying to stop anybody else from actually battling for our civil rights and for our individual freedom. The truth of the matter is, it's not just the responsibility of the Congress party. I think all political parties need to be wedded to what our constitution stands for. I mean, you know, I can give you one example that, you know, everybody's been talking about. Mr. Yadav, since he's waxed eloquent on democracy. No, let me make one point, Rajdeep. He is a man who proposes actually that the voter should not exercise his rights to vote for a political party, but say nota, you know, none of the above. So he's not even telling you to vote against what clearly is perhaps the biggest danger to democracy, which we felt was the BJP government. So, you know, we can't have these wishy-washy arguments. It's very easy to come on a television studio
Mr. Jha, I am asking you again.
Like one of those,
Mr. Jha, no, Mr. Jha,
Mr. Jha, just a minute. That.
Sir, you can
enriched intellectual.
No, intellectual arguments aside, let's talk of hard numbers. At the end of the day, if our numbers hold, the Congress for the second consecutive election could be facing double digits. Now, you claim to be a national party, and if you end up with 2 consecutive elections in double digits, is that not a serious crisis?
I'll answer
and
that.
One which you seem incapable of facing, of confronting. At the end of the day, you're going to have to find a way now to reinvent yourself. Do you concede that or not? If these numbers hold, of course.
Well, Rajdeep, I will wait. You know, I will patiently wait with all. I will patiently wait for the 23rd and whatever be the results, whether the UPA is ahead or the NDA is ahead or maybe a third coalition emerges, I will answer each and every question of yours with whatever it takes. But I want to make one point which I said to you earlier yesterday. You know, there is, you know, that factor in politics called as the Bradley effect, that the voter actually never tells you exactly who is voting for. And it's happened in the past before, that the voter, what he says in an opinion or an exit poll is very different from the actual franchise he exercised. And I'm not saying this, you know, hanging on to is a drowning man clutching at a straw. We honestly believe that in this election, the voter who is from the Dalit minorities, the Muslims in particular, scheduled tribe, and many other people. By the way, I can tell you, even Congress supporters, I can tell you, have been slightly hesitant in going out and telling who they voted for.
If you are wrong, Mr. Jha, you have every right to rubbish our exit poll. Mr. Jha, you have every right to rubbish our exit poll, but if it is right, if the Congress, I repeat for the last time to you, if the Congress is in double digits, can the Congress afford to continue the way it has? Will you need dramatic changes, yes or no, in the way your party functions?
Well, well, let me tell you a hypothetical question, but I will take it and I will give you an answer. If the Congress party, and I'm not just talking about us being in triple digits, etc. If we are not able to stop Narendra Modi from becoming Prime Minister and getting another 5 years, we will deem it internally in our own self-examination as a terrible failure. I mean, here is a party which has been a monumental disaster on the economy. You can look at the stats as we talk. It's divided our society. Its institutions have been destroyed. The data of this country is being looked at with suspicion. And I think, frankly speaking, I have never seen India look as vulnerable and under fear. If despite all of it, we are not able to stop Narendra Modi, then I think there is a serious, I would say,
crisis of credibility and trust.
I think not just for us, but actually for the entire political system.
There is a crisis of credibility and trust if that doesn't happen, and you're going to have to introspect,
well, I don't know.
Introspect, but act. But Nalin
I will
Kohli,
be astonished, Rajdeep.
Yes.
Rajdeep, just one point.
Yes.
Okay. Just one point. You know, it's conventionally said it's the economy stupid. Here we are saying that the economy doesn't matter at all. If I look at all the exit polls, jobs, agrarian distress, a collapsed economy, terrible exports, demonetization, GST has no impact. I'm not willing to believe it. Okay. But if it happens, well, we'll have to face it as it comes.
Okay, you'll have to face the reality of the exit polls if they actually translate into reality. But Nalin Kohli, let's take on from where Sanjay Jha left. The belief is that despite a faltering economy, despite institutions being in a sense corroded, despite increasing divisions in the society, Mr. Modi is winning big. There is a tsunami. What are the implications of that? Is it, if this verdict holds, will you see it as a vindication of the politics of the last 5 years? Will you see it as a license in a way to implement your ideological agenda, be it Ram Mandir, be it Uniform Civil Code, be it Article 370 being scrapped?
Rajdeep, you will have to permit me some time, because now I would like to divide my comments into 3 specific parts. There is an ideation part, which is what Mr. Yadav has touched a debate on. The second is what Mr. Jha has said in terms of his views on the BJP. And the third is what you're referring to, what would be the vindication in this. So briefly on all three. One is, and the first part is non-partisan. Mr. Yadav, as any one of us, is entitled to have a point of view. And he has put that across, even if it may sound radical. My view, without it being partisan, is that to believe that there would be the lack of national alternatives in India may not be correct. At least history isn't showing us that in terms of political and electoral history. In 1984, the BJP contested some 225 seats, got about 7-8% of the vote, and we were down to 2 seats. And we have been in government repeatedly, once in 96, then 98, 99. And then, of course, we've had a full majority under Prime Minister Modi, the first time in 30 years. So I think writing off the obituary of any first political person is always premature and uncalled for, and certainly not of a political party so easily.
Right.
So I think, even though that idea is, and Mr. Yadav, of course, will have to face the challenge that when he has brought and been part of what is an alternative movement, the pros and cons of that, and I'm not making it partisan, has to also be viewed. The rise of hope as an alternative and its complete decimation with what the Kejriwal government in Delhi has given. So, these are the ideation part. These kind of ideas in society will continue. But my view is that political individuals and political parties go beyond the drawing room because the dynamics of democracy are far more complex. And that's the example. The second is to Mr. Jha. With regard to, say, the economy is in the worst case, whichever, I think we are past that. The election is over. We've left it to the people. The people have voted. We'll know on the 23rd. The exit polls, certainly all of them are pointing towards a clear government of the BJP. And we would hope that that would be the correct position on the 23rd. We have that expectation. With regard to it, my simple answer to Mr. Jha is you can fool one person, you can fool 2 people, you can fool some people, but you can't fool all the people in a democracy. So when people are voting to take, 900 million people to be completely out of their minds, to not be able to see everything that Mr. Jha is saying assumedly is wrong, then perhaps there's something wrong with the man who's making the allegation, not the voters. Because voters are very intelligent and we have to respect them.
But there may be a distinction between the state of the economy and the promises you've made, Mr. Kohli.
The voter is intelligent.
Mr. Kohli, there may be a distinction between the state of the economy, which is in choppy waters,
but then again,
and why voters are voting for you. They may be voting on the hope. You have thrown up hope to people in 2014. You are again giving people hope that you will provide a better government.
Right. I'll answer that. Rajdeep. A second term only on the basis of hope. Please bear in mind, in 14 it was only hope, no performance. In 19 there is the 5-year tenure of the government of Prime Minister Modi. So to believe that there is, only hope and no performance, I believe that voters do make a choice when they see that there is someone making an honest effort and there is delivery starting in some areas and reaching in other areas more conclusively. So I respect the Indian voter because the whole idea of what we discuss, anti-incumbency, is the intelligence of the voter, including in elections where there have been 2 elections, the state and the national, and the voter has made separate choices. So let's respect the voter and not make him so simplistic or her as simplistic as to give it a national narrative in a single sentence. So I reject that argument. The third part is to what you're saying, what would be the agenda ahead? What you're calling contentious issues. Our traditional ideological positions have never been a secret. They've always been there and they've consistently been there. Our agenda of governance has also been always made very clear. As far as I see it, Prime Minister Modi, if people bless him with another term, is going to be clear not only building on where he is left, but strengthening it even further. And I think there would be a bigger attack on corruption and black money. So what those who are at the, if I may say, already coming within the net, seeing them reach the final thing and stopping transactional corruption, expanding infrastructure, now that things have been done with the economy, taking it to the next level, these are going to be but the obvious things. With regard to Ram Mandir, our stand is again known. It's before the court. It has to be either through a negotiated settlement or it has to be through the court, or as we know in democracy, parliament is the ultimate.
So if you have a two-thirds, I am asking you very quickly, if you have a two-thirds majority, are you going to push? If there is a two-thirds majority as you get, will you push for the Ram Mandir through legislation? Are you telling me that you will push for the scrapping of Article 370? Will
The
you push for a
BJP
uniform
has
civil
always.
code?
No.
Yes?
In fact,
Yes or no?
the BJP, and I'm saying it unequivocally, no one wait, Rajdeep, I'll give you an answer which will be straightforward, not beating around the bush. Our agenda on all of these and our commitments is known, and we stand by that commitment. But the if and the but, let's wait for the result, and let's also wait for the government to come. The government will announce its this.
So
this is not a small thing. These are big issues, and they are for us. Some of them are not even political. Ram Mandir is not political. For us, it's an ideological, and our stand on it has been transparent forever.
Okay. You know, it's very interesting you're saying transactional corruption. There is much talk that if a Modi government comes to power again, Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya will be brought back in the next few months. In the first 100 days, we are told is one of the government's agendas. But Monojit Mondal of the Trinamool Congress, what does all this mean for parties like y'all? Till the other day, y'all were aspiring to play a role at the center. If these numbers hold, not only do you have no role in the center, but your own fortress in Bengal is under threat. And therefore, we have a dominant national party now, possibly taking over even state governments like yours. Already there is talk of the Karnataka government falling. There is some talk that the Madhya Pradesh government may fall. And even in Bengal, there's talk of 40 MLAs, as the Prime Minister said, who are ready to switch.
No, in fact, he said 80, not 40.
Yes.
But that's been their agenda. Somehow to some or the other to topple the government of West Bengal, which is legitimately elected with the blessings of people. And if again the if remains there, it's a very big if. Again, in some of the exit polls, even if you think about the results of Bengal, without rubbishing all the claims, they are saying that BJP can get only 3 to 5 seats. So who do we believe? I mean, let's be honest that the exit polls numbers can never be exact numbers, and there's never been the case for the last 3-4 successive elections. I can give a number of examples.
I am asking
and coming
you,
back
do you
to the
feel
issue of
threatened
Mr. Jadhav, the
Do you
raising up,
feel
so I think
threatened,
it's
Mr.
nothing but
Are
the
regional
expression
parties
of
like you now on the
despondency.
retreat?
No question. I mean, Rajdeep ji, only 6 months back, we are all appreciating the Congress party for winning 3 big states. So there was nothing wrong with the Congress party, at this point in time. And now it's because of the exit poll, the numbers that are showing, which are again not saying that exact numbers. But if we are threatened, there's no question of getting any kind of threat, because the constitution is there, the parties are still there. There are big numbers in other parts of the country, and let me tell you, this country will not be ruled by one single party. Whether it is the Congress or the BJP, this country will be governed by political parties.
You made your point, Yogendra Yadav. The fear that people have is if Mr. Modi comes to power, or fear that critics of Mr. Modi have is that if he comes to power with this kind of majority, it will be one man, one rule. One man, one party rule. And the last time that happened was in the 70s with Indira. That we could then be entering an era of an elected authoritarianism. Is that an exaggerated fear? Is that a fear only of the critics? Is that being unfair to Mr. Modi?
Rajdeep, is not just an exaggerated fear. This is a technical term of the trade. In many parts of the world today, we have regimes which are called either competitive authoritarianism or electoral authoritarianism. You have Putin, you have Turkey, you have all these situations, Hungary. So basically what happens in these countries is, technically they are democracy, they hold elections, but nothing other than election is permitted. No human rights, no independent judiciary, no independent press. Elections happen and the leader says, I have won election. How does the Supreme Court matter? We are taking steps in that direction. Yes, we are going towards unprecedented concentration of power, where the power of the union is in central government. Central government's power is in the hands of the executive. Executive powers are controlled by the party, and the party is controlled by one person. Yes, we are going in that direction. We also have the other very serious possibility of a non-theocratic majoritarian government, technically secular, but would pass something like Citizenship Amendment Bill, which is one of the few promises BJP has made in its manifesto, and I would expect them to fulfill it, which would actually bring back the two-nation theory to this country. Now coming back to Sanjay Jha, that is my issue, Sanjay ji. I know you are angry with what I said. You and I have debated several times, and in many of those occasions you used to support what I said. So I would want, and of course you are entitled to waiting till the 23rd. My question is not so much of the past. You brought up Delhi and Nota. Yeah. Allow me to remind you that in Haryana, in the constituency of Gurgaon, where I contested, please ask your party what was my appeal. I issued a personal appeal to all the voters to please ensure that the BJP is defeated. If you don't believe me, go and check it out. That's not the important thing. The important thing is we face these dual challenge. Do I see Congress as a very serious, valuable ally in fighting against competitive authoritarianism and non-theocratic majoritarian government? I don't see that happening. I see your party playing a soft Hindutva at some point. I see your party basically replicating that authoritarian regimes at local levels. And if I do not see Congress as an ally in this long and most important struggle of this republic, to my mind, this party then has lost its historic value. It may be 135 years old, lovely, but is not relevant to the only point I'm making.
Can I get two quick responses first? You made two responses. I want both Nalin Kohli and Sanjay Jha one by one to respond. First, you, Nalin Kohli, respond to the point Yogendra Yadav is making, that if Mr. Modi gets this majority, we will be a democracy, according to him, only in name, in the sense that we have elections. Okay, Sanjay Jha, why don't you respond? Since the last point was made to you, Yogendra Yadav believes the Congress, in a sense, is incapable of fighting the BJP because you're fighting it by replicating the BJP's politics. Your political culture is no different today from the BJP. You play the same kind of politics, the politics of soft Hindutva, for example, is how he describes it. Very quickly.
Well, let me tell you one thing, Rajdeep. The Congress party is pro-Hindu. The Congress party is pro-Muslim. The Congress party is pro-Sikhs. The Congress party is pro-Jains, the Congress party is pro-Buddhists, and the Congress party is pro-Christians. I really don't think anybody can point fingers at us because, Mr. Yadav, let me tell you
why do you then suffer from a credibility trust deficit?
Why did you look at our track record?
Mr. Jha, why is it that the Congress suffers from a credibility trust deficit? At the national level at the moment, if in 2 consecutive elections you lose by the margin that it appears you may well be, do you accept that there is a credibility trust deficit on precisely those issues of nationalism, of secularism, of corruption? Those are the issues where you will have to redefine yourself.
You know, I'll take your last point on corruption. We passed the RTI, we passed the Lokpal. Over 5 years, Narendra Modi could not even appoint the Lokpal person himself. We passed the act after public deliberations. I mean, that is our commitment to democracy and, in my opinion, transparency. And Mr. Yadav, by the way, was one of the protesters. So he should know how liberal we were. We were in the establishment, but we were very open to taking the feedback from civil society. I really feel Mr. Yadav's criticism that terribly unjustified. I want to make one point to what my friend Nalin said. He's one of the few moderate voices in the BJP I really trust and respect a lot. You know, the point that he also cannot ignore is Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur, and I use Sadhvi deliberately because that is how, you know, she has been created an icon within the Sangh Parivar, is a candidate from Bhopal. Now, you know, I'm hoping Mr. Digvijay Singh will win, but if there is that crazy situation where she enters the Lok Sabha, I would like to ask Nalin and Mr. Narendra Modi, who said that, you know, I'm ashamed of her. Will she be sacked? Will there be a fresh Lok Sabha election? Will she not be allowed to enter into the Lok Sabha? For someone who says Nathuram Godse is a patriot, Rajdeep, I believe that is a larger question on the soul of our country. You know, and I don't care what the results are on the 23rd, but I think all of us as Indians are affected by this kind of a
Yeah, but if she gets elected,
insult to the father of the
I
nation.
take your point, but at the end of the day, if she gets elected, she becomes a member of the Lok Sabha. Nalin Kohli, this is the fear that people have. Yogendra Yadav expressing the fear that we could become an elected autocracy, where the only fig leaf of democracy is elections held every 5 years. And Sanjay Jha is expressing the fear that we will be a majoritarian state with the likes of Sadhvi Pragya becoming the new symbols of the BJP. Respond very quickly to both.
First, on what Yogendra Yadav ji said, I have personally had a lot of respect and I continue to hold him in high stead for his past as both a psephologist and a mind. I may not agree with many things that Mr. Yadav may say, but he's at least on an ideation level. But as the second argument he makes, again I can't agree with it, because the examples that Mr. Yadav is using don't work. He's quoting Russia, Turkey and Hungary. Two at least have had a communist past, which is an authoritarian history for a significant period of time, and therefore democratic traditions were not strong. In Turkey, the army has been part of the government process for several decades from the time of Kemal Atatürk. So basically, you can't compare apples and oranges. India, and again, the example when you take of the entire subcontinent, stands apart. Please, zara mat kariye phone pe baat. Excuse me, sir. Aap apna phone band kariye. I'm sorry for that break of thought. India, on the other side, I'm sorry for losing that. I think your camera person just went on a phone. Just sorry for a minute. Yeah. India, on the other hand, has been the only democratic place where the army has never interfered in the middle or interfered in the political process, unlike the entire subcontinent. India's democratic traditions are deep-rooted, very, very deep-rooted. And therefore, to make them light on the basis of fears, which are imaginary without anything concrete, is incorrect. I would say there has to be at least something empirical. Now let's come to the question of the center-state relationship. We are just too diverse, and our parliamentary and democracy in the states just doesn't allow this kind of a single kind of a window that you say. We are vibrant. Look, Mr. Yadav, his party, which is a political process, doesn't have presentation, but it has its own voice. It's sitting on a prime time show discussing it. So I think we need to respect the strength of Indian democracy too. Now on Mr. Sanjay Jha and what he said, certainly on Sadhvi Pragya Thakur, her comments are not only uncalled for, they are completely rejected. Let's look at it from both perspectives. No less than Mr. Narendra Modi, as Prime Minister, clearly said, I cannot forgive something like that. No Indian can. As simple as that. And Mr. Amit Shah, as the head of the family, in terms of the organization, has issued that notice and asked for an explanation. 10 days time has been given. I think 3 days are over. She has to respond as anybody else. The options before the party are there. And the party will look at it.
You're saying the fears of a Tsunami 2.0 resulting in a majoritarian or authoritarian state are grossly exaggerated. Ashutosh Verma, you're joining us, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Before I take a break, I want a quick word from you, because it appears if our poll is right, Narendra Modi has defied all traditional stereotypes of caste, region, rural-urban divides. He's rising above all and even winning in Uttar Pradesh. Will you concede if this is a big victory, it's the end of the old-style caste politics, that even caste-based parties will have to rethink? Regional parties will have to rethink, the Congress will have to rethink, the caste-based parties will have to rethink. You will need a new kind of politics, Ashutosh Verma, if you are reduced to just 15-20 seats in UP.
Rajdeep, first I want to make it very clear that we are not making only caste-type politics. It is one of the issues we have taken in the election as a strategy, but not only the politics. We have, other than major factors of local issues and all that we have. And definitely these results are not consistent. We are hoping much more better. Definitely, if Gathbandhan is getting less than something 40, it is very, very thoughtful process for us only, at least.
Okay.
And we don't think something.
So you think that the exit polls are false, that you will get at least 40 seats? Not surprising. Let me take a break. I want to persist. Okay, I want to persist with the point that I made. What will a Tsunami 2.0? I want final words from all our panelists after a short break. What will a 2.0 Tsunami really mean for this country? Will it change the way Indian politics have been practiced perhaps forever, especially elections? Welcome back. What happens if the exit polls are right and on the 23rd of May we see Tsunami 2.0, a big BJP NDA victory? The implications of that. The first implication was felt today in the markets. The markets have gone up by more than 1,000 points. Nifty was up. It was a terrific day for those who have invested in the markets. And that brings me, Sanjay Jha, to the question that many people are raising. They are saying if the markets are cheering, it's a clear sign what the people want, what the markets and investors want is a stable government. And that's the advantage Mr. Modi has. And one of the reasons possibly for him winning this election, take a look at the Sensex. It's all on the way up. And therefore, there is a sense that this is exactly what the country needs, a stable government, something which the Congress and the opposition was unable to offer. You are called the Maha Milawat versus the Mazboot Sarkar. Your response, do you believe the country needs stability at the moment to ensure that the economy takes off again?
You know, Rajdeep, this is possibly one of the most popular notions or a paradox that a lot of people have fallen for. And that is that Narendra Modi is necessarily good for the markets. You know, I have a stockbroker friend in Mumbai who told me the BJP is good for the markets, the Congress is good for the country. You know, when he said that, I found it very amusing. So I asked him, who do you vote for, the country or your income? He, of course, didn't answer me. But when I gave him the data that between UPA 1 to UPA 2, the 10 years, the compounded annual growth rate of stock market returns were higher under UPA than they have been under Narendra Modi. It's a whole perception story. And I can tell you this for a fact that, you know, end of day, the UPA has been better in terms of equity returns as compared to the NDA. But, you know, I think these are issues that we need to confront head on. The GDP was better during UPA 1 and UPA 2 as opposed to the NDA. So, you know, I think these are reactions. A lot of them, of course, are hugely manufactured. But, you know, bottom line, I feel you have to deliver to the common man. And if at the end of the day, one is able to do that, you have truly lived to your promise. I believe Mr. Modi, the 2 crore jobs, the MSP, the doubling of farmer income, I think really has led the people down. If he still wins the election, I think it's a miracle.
No, if he still wins the election, it may show you didn't communicate. Our surveys are showing Nyay did not even reach the people who it was meant for. Many of the people had not heard of Nyay. And that will surely lead some introspection, Mr. Jha, of the Congress party. I come back to it. You know, at the end of the day, democracy is 2 choices. And maybe the BJP has been more effective in communicating their ideas.
If that is true, then yes, it's a serious fault line.
Okay, it's a serious fault line. You know, I just want to understand from you, Monojit Mandal.
If that is true, then it is a very serious fault line because we thought it was a game changer scheme.
You thought it was a game changer, but Monojit Mandal, the real big other story is Bengal, as per our poll. If our poll is right, which gives the BJP almost the same number of seats as you, it could also mean that your leader also now suffers a credibility and trust deficit. One of the things our poll is showing is people trust Mr. Modi more as a leader than they trust any other leader. Leadership is about trust. They don't trust Mamata Banerjee.
I mean, if these numbers are really reflecting on 23rd, then we'll have to say that the entire narrative changed because of Balakot and Pulwama and nothing else. The elections basically took place in India. If the numbers are, again I'm saying, numbers are reflecting the reality, the elections in India, not just in Bengal, but everywhere else in the country, was fought on the Balakot and Pulwama, nothing else.
You're saying
and on the issue of totalitarian government, let me
respond to what Professor Mondal is saying.
Whether it is divinely ordained or just make me. I want to make one line.
Yes.
Whether it is divinely ordained or democratically elected totalitarianism, history tells us that they don't last long. That's the history. Whether it's Germany, England, or Italy, or even in India, they don't last long, and that is history.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, just 30 seconds. Do you believe if these numbers hold, Pulwama, Balakot were the turning point? Or do you believe that the voter had even decided before that? Very quickly.
Let me start.
30 seconds. I just have 30 seconds, Mr. Kohli.
I think we'll start from where Professor Mandal left it. He's correct. That if there is totalitarianism, the people will definitely uproot it. And that's the story of Bengal. As simple as that. I thank him for putting it so succinctly. With regard to Mr. Sanjay Jha, very simply put, that if he was giving data to a stockbroker friend of his, and if the stockbroker friend didn't know all this, just, I'm sorry to say, makes it a very, very uninformed, ill-informed stockbroker. But 7 crore gas connections, you're right. Delivery has to reach the masses. That's what Ujjwala was. 7 crore gas connections to the poorest women. Or its toilets, or 15 crore mudra loans, or 4 crore farmers getting that first tranche of the loan into their bank accounts, or 5,65,000 crores into direct benefit transfer, 125 schemes. So that's what delivery is.
Okay.
And yes, you are right, Mr. Jha. That's the delivery that Prime Minister Modi
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, Nalin Kohli. We'll leave it there, Nalin Kohli. We'll wait and see how much of this speculation actually ends in reality. Remember, at the moment, we are whistling in the dark because these are all based on exit poll numbers. And you never know what happens come the 23rd. Thank you all very much for joining us. My take. If Narendra Modi does win a 2/3 victory, as some exit polls are predicting, it will mark a tectonic shift in Indian politics. It is one thing to win an election riding on anti-incumbency, but quite another if a similar feat is performed when in power. This hasn't happened since Indira Gandhi in 1971, and to that extent, Mr. Modi could well be creating a slice of history. It not only reflects the BJP's hegemonical position in Indian politics, but also how quickly the opposition, primarily the Congress, has shrunk. If the Modi-Shah juggernaut is indeed sweeping the country, it also shows how the rules of electoral politics have changed. Mr. Modi's quasi-presidential-like appeal, when fed into a mighty media and money machine, has almost invisibilized the opposition. The Modi versus who question has got even more traction in the aftermath of Pulwama Balakot, a muscular nationalism almost drowning out any other issue. Mr. Modi appears to have captured a certain spirit of hope and aspiration that cuts across all traditional caste and class divides, especially in North and West India, but increasingly in the East too. But with greater numbers will also come more responsibility, especially in restoring confidence amongst the minorities, rebuilding broken institutions, and also reviving the economy, which remains in choppy waters. The concern over a one-man, one-party rule will need to be addressed to ensure that democratic values are preserved. But before assessing any impact of Tsunami 2.0, just one final word of caution. The final results, my friends, are only coming on the 23rd of May. Till then, all analysis is premature. That's my caveat. Maybe it's my anticipatory bail application. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.